welcome to an Alfie James production, Where the Wild Things Are, performed by members of the Women Unscene Community Theatre Project and supported by the Arts Council England and Loughton Town Council. Where the Wild Things Are, one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp, in the jungle and in the swamp.
They roar their echoing roars,
Roar!
and they grind their pointy teeth. They roll their wild, colourful eyes, and they stomp their hairy feet.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Where the Wild Things Are,
one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp, in the jungle and in the swamp.
They may look strange, they may look funny, but they're not really scary at all,
No.
for they just want to have a ball.
Ta-da!
Where the Wild Things Are,
one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp, in the jungle and in the swamp.
Gather round and come in closer, for I have a rather colourful tale to tell. This is the delightful story of one small child, his teddy, and a bunch of rather large beasts called the...
Excuse me, I think you've forgotten something.
Teddy, you can't interrupt the story like that.
I certainly can, especially when you get my name wrong.
But your name is Teddy. That's what you are, a teddy.
No, I'm not.
Of course you are. You're dressed as a teddy, and you look like a teddy. You are a teddy. That's what it says in the story here.
Oh, I think you will find it's supposed to read Mr. Teddy. Thank you very much. I am the hero of the story after all.
Actually, you didn't feature in the original story at all. This is a small adaptation written especially for these children and their grown-ups.
And the writer included me because they needed a new, dashing, handsome, brave hero to save the day and make the story even more exciting.
I don't remember him saying that. He said that he wanted a big, cuddly bear to make the children laugh and the grown-ups to go, "Ah, how cute."
Cuddly? Oh, cute! I hate cute! I'm no such thing. I'm Mr. Teddy. Thank you very much.
Very well. Now, can I get back to the story, please?
I suppose so.
Gather around and come in closer, for I have a rather colourful tale to tell. This is the delightful story of one small child, his Mr. Teddy, and a bunch of rather large beasts called the Wild Things. The Wild Things were giant things. They had long nails, a long pointy nose, and horns on the top of their heads. They ponged and smelt like a rubbish tip on a hot sunny day, and dribbled saliva all the time. Some spoke with a squeaky high-pitched voice, whilst others in a very low and deep tone. But they all seemed to speak in a gobbledygoo. But they're not really scary at all. or they just want to have a ball. But our story starts here, in Max's house. Max was a small child. He was an only child and was often terribly bored by himself. That night he was wearing his rabbit suit too, which could only mean one thing for all grown-ups, which was...
Mischief!
Just then, Max's mother walked in, and she was not amused.
Good heavens, what have you done? You've destroyed one of your pillows, Max.
Sorry, Mum.
Why on earth did you do that?
Because I was bored.
Those pillows cost a lot of money.
But you can buy another one.
Money doesn't grow on trees, Max. You've got to learn to appreciate things. You never know when they might not be there anymore.
But it was fun.
You have plenty of toys you can play with.
But they're so boring.
What about Teddy?
He's the worst.
Excuse me?
You're acting like a wild thing, Max.
And I'm going to eat you up.
Just at that moment, Max pulled a funny face at his mother. She was even less amused.
Right, Max, that's it. Off to your room at once. You can think about your behaviour.
And it was Mr. Teddy too.
And so Max was sent to his room for being naughty again. His poor mother didn't know what to do. Max didn't realise how much his behaviour upset his mum. That night, Max sat in front of his bed feeling grumpy. Mr. Teddy tried to cheer him up.
It's your own silly fault.
I said, Mr. Teddy tried to cheer him up.
But it is his fault. He upset his poor mum again.
I was only playing. I was bored. I wish I could have friends to play with. I wish I could go on an adventure. Being stuck here is so boring.
Be careful what you wish for. Your adventure might just come true. Maybe you might even meet some wild things for real.
I won't be afraid.
And what if it takes you far away? Won't you miss home?
Never. I'll be having too much fun.
Suddenly, something strange began to happen. He could hear a magical sound in the wind.
Pop,
Pop,
pop, pop.
pop.
The roots began to slowly grow. The trees grew taller and taller.
What's happening?
Until Max's room had become a gigantic
Forest!
His ceiling hung with vines, and his bedroom walls had suddenly disappeared and had become a new world all around him. It was like something from a Brothers Grimm fairy tale.
Isn't this exciting?
Now, don't you even think about exploring, mister. You stay right here. It must be a dream. Yes, that's exactly what it must be. It's a dream. Max, where are you going?
It was no use telling him. Max leapt up off the floor and ran through the forest, going deeper and deeper. He zigzagged through the trees, laughing with joy and excitement.
I feel free!
Hold on! Not so fast!
Come on, Teddy!
It's Mr. Daddy! My feet aren't as big as yours either. I can't run as fast.
But there was no stopping Max. He ran faster and faster, leaving poor Teddy behind.
Way! Catch me if you can!
Just then, the forest began to disappear behind him. He came to a clearing. There in front of him was the most splendid bright red boat. It had two enormous yellow sails on it, and there, painted on the boat, read Max.
A boat? For me?
Without another thought, Max jumped into the boat.
Stop! I said stop! I'm supposed to be looking after you.
I'm supposed to be the hero here. What are you doing on that boat?
Isn't it splendid? It's even got my name on it too.
Just because it has Max written on the side of it, it doesn't mean it's yours.
Nonsense. This is my bedroom and my forest, so this has got to be my boat.
Get off that thing at once!
No!
I won't ask again.
Hey, what's this?
Max started to pull a long rope, and he pulled up a large, heavy metal thing from the water below.
That's the anchor.
The boat started to move further into the water.
It's moving! It's moving!
Wait for me!
Teddy jumped onto the boat as it moved into the sea, and they started to sail away.
Where are we going?
I don't know. Isn't it fun?
Fun? Of course it's not fun. It could be dangerous.
You stress far too much, Teddy.
Just at that moment, they heard a loud squawking noise from above. Squawk, squawk.
It's a bird!
Oh, it's going to eat me.
The bird circled around the boat before flying down and landing with a thump on the side. It tilted its head to the right. It tilted its head to the left before speaking.
How are you? How are you?
I'm Max, and this is my boat.
Stand back, otherwise I'll flatten you.
And whose army? Whose army?
I don't need an army. I'm Mr. Teddy.
Stop being rude, Teddy. We're off an adventure.
Adventure where? Adventure where?
To the unknown.
Sounds exciting. Exciting indeed. I don't see many people out here in the big wide pond.
Would you like to come with us?
Can't. Searching for food. Searching for food.
See, it's trying to eat us.
For fish. You numpty. Birds eat fish, not teddy bears.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you know if there's any islands around here?
Indeed there is. But you must be careful.
Careful, why?
Because that's where the wild things are.
The wild things.
See, I told you. Let's turn around and go home.
I'm not afraid of any wild things.
Where the wild things are. One of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp. They roar their echoing roars and they grind their pointy teeth. They roll their wild colourful eyes and stomp their hairy feet. But you must be aware, they'll eat you up in one gollop. They'll mash you up in one dollop.
I'm not afraid of them. You should come with us. There might be plenty of fish.
Just then, they heard a loud, magical sound coming from the distance.
Oh no, got to go, got to go.
And before they could say another word, the bird was off again, flying high up into the sky.
I told you that this was dangerous. We need to turn back at once.
Nonsense. I laugh in the face of danger.
The stomping sound grew louder and louder. Suddenly, the wind began to pick up.
Whoosh,
Whoosh.
whoosh,
The sails began to flap forwards with a sudden push.
whoosh.
What's happening?
We're taking off. We're taking off.
Birds don't fly.
Hold on, Teddy.
A magical dust surrounded the sails. It was like 1,000,000 tiny fireflies had surrounded the boat, lifting the boat up. First the front, like a jumbo jet aeroplane taking off and roaring towards the clouds. The sails flapped harder and harder, and it soared upwards.
Higher and higher.
We're taking off. We're flying. We're flying.
I don't do heights.
The boat lifted up into the air, soared up into the clouds, into the sky above.
I can see for miles, Teddy. Look.
I'm looking.
With your eyes open.
The boat continued flying straight ahead towards what looked like a magical island.
Wow! I can see trees, a forest, a waterfall, and lots of tree huts. a beach too, and a cliff top. This must be where the wild things live.
Suddenly, the boat tipped and pointed downwards towards the sea and started to nosedive.
Ah, we're falling, we're going to die. Save yourselves.
The boat began to rattle.
Rattle!
It began to shake.
Shake! Brace for impact!
Splash! The boat crashed into the sea. A small wave of water splashed over them both.
I got all wet.
It was like a rapid roller coaster ride at Autumn Towers.
Look ahead. It's a land. It's the Wild Things Island.
The boat came to a sudden halt as it hit the sand. Max jumped out of the boat onto the beach, wasting no time.
Let's explore.
No, just you wait. I said, Max!
Max ran once again through the forest of trees. Poor Teddy tried his best to keep up with him. Max laughed aloud.
Isn't it amazing?
Little did he know that the drumming of the wild things had started again. Drum, drum, drum.
Drum, drum, drum.
It grew louder and louder until it suddenly stopped. Max stood still in a small clearing in the forest. He froze as still as he could, for there in front of him were two giant, colourful eyes. Out popped a giant head, and then a body too, followed by two other creatures. They roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws.
Stand back, Max. I've got this. Now! You look here, you ugly wild thing lot. I'm not afraid of you. So just you stay back or
The three wild things looked at each other and then looked at Teddy with a puzzled look before giving out a loud roar.
Don't eat us.
Max jumped forward, holding his hand up to the wild things.
Be still. I tamed them with a magic trick of staring into all of their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened.
I don't like.
He's scary.
What is he?
He's a wild thing.
Don't hurt us.
Don't harm us.
Why is he staring at us?
It's the evil glare.
It's working. They're not roaring anymore. They're moving back.
Of course it's working.
He must be the one.
It must be him.
He must be our king.
King? Are you sure he's our king?
I would have worn my best cardi if I'd known.
I'd have done my hair.
I would have had a shave.
One of the wild things plucked up the courage and stepped forward and began to speak.
Your Majesty, we're so sorry that we roared. We didn't mean to. Can you ever forgive us?
Your Majesty, they don't actually think that.
It's all right. I forgive you. You weren't to know.
We don't get many visitors here on Wild Thing Island. In fact, you're the first. Isn't that right, Ingu?
The first in over 150 years.
How old are you?
I'm 350, Rumpus is 375, and Ingo is 200.
Why don't you get many visitors?
People are afraid of us. It's because of our colourful eyes, our terrible teeth, and our terrible claws.
Don't forget our terrible roars.
And our big heads and flappy ears. Don't forget that.
And your hairy feet.
I don't have hairy feet.
You do so.
You have a fat belly.
And you have a big head.
That's not very nice.
you
I
got
can't
hairy
believe it.
feet.
No,
The
no,
wild
no,
things,
Are you
Hairy
serious?
feet.
the wild things began bickering amongst each other and almost forgot that their new king was standing in front of them.
Wait! Stop! I said stop arguing!
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Your Majesty.
If I'm your king, then I should have a crown.
He's right. Give him the crown.
I'll fetch it.
Rumpus quickly returned holding a golden crown and gave it to Max, who immediately put it onto his head. All of the wild things stepped back and gasped. They all smiled and lowered their heads in respect.
What are your names?
My name is Rumpus.
Rumpus had black wavy hair, web-looking legs, and a brown striped top on.
I'm Pingu.
Pingu had a chicken bird-like head with a bright orange beak and a bushy tail.
And who are you?
I'm Ingu, Your Majesty.
Ingu was the smallest of them, with black, short, stubbly hair, small horns on the top of his head, and pink, smooth feet, unlike the others.
You all look rather strange. Funny.
Everyone says that we're ugly.
Max didn't realize that this made the wild things sad. Instead, he held his hand up to speak.
Now for my first real command. Let the rumpus start!
Hey!
Stomp our feet on the ground.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Wiggle and tap our knees to make a sound.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Clap our hands and make some noise.
Clap, clap, clap.
Then make a roar with our voice.
Roar,
roar,
roar.
And start all over again. Stomp our feet on the ground.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Wiggle and tap our knees to make a sound.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Clap our hands and make some noise.
Clap, clap, clap.
Then make a roar with our voice.
Roar, roar, roar.
They did the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp. They dangled themselves from the trees, wiggling their hairy toes, and paraded him through the wood on their shoulders. They played Peter Pan and pirates, and had swashing sword fights, and ate until their bellies were about to explode. They all laughed and they giggled until their tummies hurt. But something was missing. Something didn't feel quite right. Mr. Teddy fell asleep in exhaustion, and Max sat down on a log by himself and put his head into his lap. The wild things all looked over at him, puzzled.
He doesn't look very happy.
He looks rather glum.
Maybe he needs another piece of cake.
You could tell him a funny joke.
Or sing a funny song.
Maybe do a funny dance.
Someone should ask him what's wrong.
Great idea. Who will ask him?
I volunteer Ingu.
Why me?
Because you're the bravest,
The smartest.
the kindest.
Why don't we get Mr. Teddy to ask him?
I'll ask him. You're looking rather glum. Is everything all right?
Not really.
What's up?
I don't know. I feel lonely. I feel sad.
Lonely? But we're here.
We'll cheer you up. Look, we'll pull a funny face.
But even their funny faces couldn't cheer poor Max up.
I'm sorry, it's not your fault. I just want to be where someone loves me.
We love you.
Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started to smile too.
I passed around the corner and someone saw my grin. When he smiled, I realised I'd passed it on to him.
I thought about that smile, then I realised its worth. A single smile, just like mine, could travel around the earth.
So if you feel a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start an epidemic quick and get the world infected. But Max was missing his mum's special hugs, his mum's delicious cooking, the way that she would tuck him up in bed at night and make sure that there were no monsters under the bed, how she would tell the bestest bedtime stories.
I miss home. I miss my mum. Teddy was right. I don't appreciate her enough. I wish that I could see her again. I wish I could say that I'm sorry and be a good boy again.
Then you should go home back to her.
But you're my friends. I like playing games with you. Who will I swing from trees or roar in the jungle and then swamp with?
We'll miss you too.
And we'll always be here. All you have to do is shut your eyes tight, like this.
And think about us, and we'll be there.
You may look strange, you may look funny, but you're not really scary at all, for you just want to have a ball. I don't care about your echoing roars or the way you grind your pointy teeth, the way that you roll your wild, colourful eyes and stomp your hairy feet. Friends come in all shapes and sizes, and I wouldn't change you for the world.
Max and Teddy jumped back onto the boat and watched and laughed as they waved goodbye and the wild things danced on the shore. They roared their echoing roars and they grinded their pointy teeth. They rolled their wild, colourful eyes and they stomped their hairy feet. Where the Wild Things Are, one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp. They sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him, and it was still hot.
Teddy,
Yes.
thank you for being the bestest friend I could ever have.
It's Mr. Teddy to you.
Where the
Wild
Wild
Things
Things
Are,
Are, one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp.
They roar their echoing roars
Roar!
and they grind their pointy teeth. They roll their wild, colourful eyes and they stomp their hairy feet.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Where the Wild Things Are, one of our favourite books by far.
We love it when they do the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp.
They may look strange, they may look funny, but they're not really scary at all,
No.
for they just want to have a ball.
Ta-da!
Where the Wild Things Are,
one of our favourite books by far. We love it when they do the wild stomp in the jungle and in the swamp.
You've been listening to an Alfie James production, Where the Wild Things Are, performed by members of the Women Unscene Community Theatre Project and supported by the Arts Council England and the Loughton Council.